Hey everybody, it's Chase with AV Pop Culture again, and today we're here to do something a little bit different because if you follow me, you know I'm all about positivity and really just enjoying and spreading the good word of movies and pop culture and nostalgia, but that does not mean that everything is sunshine and rainbows all the time, or that we can't hold people and companies and just things accountable when they could do a little bit better. So today I am here to count down the 10 most disappointing 4Ks of the year. And one of them was so disappointing that I refuse to buy it because I think it is bad for physical media. And we're going to talk about that and so much more. So let's jump right into it. Pop that tape in. I got you. Let's go do this. All right. So the 10 most disappointing 4Ks of the year. Now, this is my last sort of physical media thing for a while, kind of an end of the year wrap up. And I was going to do this as part of my big AVA Pop Culture Movie Awards show on January the 2nd, but I want to keep that all positive, good things. So I want to kind of leave some of this negativity in 2025. We don't want to bring it along with us. I may do, my least favorite movies that I saw this year. I don't know about that, but we do have to have some accountability. And with one in particular, there's a lot of accountability to be had. Now, I want to say right now that just because these films are on this list doesn't mean that the 4K transfers or the 4K restorations are necessarily bad. I'm going to explain why each one of these films is on this list. And starting out with one that's going to surprise you a little bit, and I actually love this movie. I love the steelbook. I love the artwork. I think the film looks good, but I think we were done a little bit dirty as physical media collectors, and I am talking about Boogie Nights. Now, I love this artwork. I think it encapsulates the film in every way possible. It's kind of racy, all that kind of stuff. I like the little filmic look on back. I like all that stuff about it. I like that, it's just a single disc set. You don't get a backup Blu-ray, nothing like that. So that's kind of a ding. But the big problem I have, and the reason it is on this list, is the digital copy of this has Dolby Vision and Dolby Atmos, and we don't get that on here. You're paying a premium price for the physical media, and you're not getting the full thing, and that really doesn't make any sense to me. We don't have the Dolby Vision or Dolby Atmos on here. You don't have that you don't have the HDR. It's not going to hit the same way. None of that stuff. And it really is kind of a big middle finger for some reason that to physical media purchasers, because look, Dolby Atmos and Dolby Vision streaming is never going to sound the same or look the same as it will on physical media. This is where it can shine the most, and they didn't put it on here, and this is where you pay the most for it. So it really doesn't make any sense at all, and if you're holding it back to put on a future release, that's even more dirty right there, because we know you have it, so not putting it on here seems very uncool. And just for instance, I watched Red One on Amazon Prime in 4K with the full Atmos track, all that kind of stuff. And then I watched it on the 4K disc with Dolby Vision and Atmos and stuff. And the 4K disc blows it away, even though it is the same thing, because you're not going to get the same kind of quality on streaming. And to kind of knock us down, I don't think that's right. So it's very disappointing for what could otherwise be just an outstanding release. So Boogie Nights is on the list. And the next one is on the list because of a mistake that should be rectified. But when you're waiting on something like this and you finally get it, you hate to have to, like, this kind of mistake can kind of keep happening. And it's American Psycho from Lionsgate Limited. They put the wrong disc in here. And, you know, you got this cool release. It looks like the Huey Lewis in the News, like, you know, CD, all that kind of stuff. And then you put the wrong disc in here. And now we have to wait on a replacement disc and got to figure out that whole process and stuff. And so it's not like something that's not going to get fixed. It's just disappointing. Like, this is what you do, is you've created Lionsgate Limited as a boutique label. Your whole purpose is physical media. You have this new release. How do you press and put the wrong disc in here? It just seems like it's not like they had an error disc that they had to correct and didn't know about. You just put the whole wrong disc in here, and that it's got to be on the list for that. I mean, it's something that can be fixed, all that kind of stuff. I love the packaging, all that, be positive. But man, you can't make that kind of mistake, right? And I'm someone who believes in, you know, constructive criticism. If you can't, you know, I'm not just taking them to task. Like, this is something that's like, hey, man, this is kind of a mistake you can't make. This isn't, I had someone complain on like a video that was like 7 months old. And I do videos every single day. And usually they have at least 10 movies that are talked about. And I do a graphic that I hand make and, you know, type everything in. So we're talking about hundreds of videos and thousands of graphics. And someone found one that had one word with a typo in it and kind of took me to task over it. Now, that's not constructive criticism. That was just a mistake once in a, you know, just tiny, insignificant thing. Putting the wrong disc into a release is a pretty big mistake. And I mean, they're going to fix it, but it's kind of disappointing. And kind of staying with that theme is this I'm just going to tell you right now, I'm proud to have this and it looks good, but The Breakfast Club 4K from Criterion. Now, this was originally a Blu-ray with a 4K scan, and they went and added Dolby Vision and HDR, but basically nothing else. They did nothing else to it. So because of the type of film it is, you didn't go back and do more restoration. You didn't go back and clean it up at all. You didn't go back. You just used that 4K scan you already had and added HDR and Dolby Vision to it. That's all you did. And because of that, and because it's the type of movie that's all basically shot in one location in a library, it doesn't have a lot of contrast lighting. It doesn't have a lot of stuff to show off high dynamic range and stuff. It really needed a little bit more hands-on restoration work to lift it up and make it pop, so to speak, to get the most out of it. And none of that was done. And Criterion, I love them, but they're very bad about just using their old 4K scans and throwing HDR on them and calling it a day. They didn't add anything new to it for as far as special features. They don't change their artwork. So it's a very limited upgrade. Now, HDR and Dolby Vision make a lot more difference to some other films that have a lot more dynamic lighting and sets and stuff like that. But a film like this, it needed the other hands-on work to lift it up, and they just didn't do it. And while I love to have it, and it is a just tiny, got to be looking for it improvement, they could have done more, so it's just a little bit disappointing. But, you know, take that for what you will. Along those same lines is one that was oversold and underdelivered by Kino Lorber, and that is Happy Gilmore. And I love this movie. This may be my favorite Adam Sandler movie, and I was so excited as someone who's done film restoration and makes films and all that kind of stuff when they said this was going to be scanned in 6K and do a full restoration and all that kind of stuff when they were pitching it when it was coming out, only to get it and find out that It was not a 4K or a 6K scan. It was a 4K scan. It even says it right back here that it was from a 4K scan. On their website, they said 6K scan, and I showed it on a live stream and then have since took it off. I don't know if they've corrected it or what, but they touted it as a 6K scan, but they didn't do any restoration work. And I try to tell people all the time, there's a difference between a scan and restoration. So a scan is just literally taking the negative and putting it through the machine and scanning it through using the machine, and some machines are better than others, putting it through the machine and getting it scanned in digitally. So if that's all you're doing, then, I mean, they did add the Dolby Vision grade to it, but they didn't do any restoration work. And Kino is very bad about this. They will just take it in whatever condition it is in, they just scan it, throw Dolby Vision on it, and go. And that's all they do. And this movie in particular, all of these golf course settings and all this should have just blown your mind with, had it done a restoration. So you got the scan just goes through a machine. The restoration should be beforehand. You fix anything on the film that's wrong on the film itself, then scan it, and then when it goes in digitally, you can continue with a digital restoration where you can improve the color, all that kind of stuff, a new color correction. You can do all those things at the front end or the back end, before, after the scan. They're not doing any of that. They're just scanning, and what you get is what you get, and you don't pitch a fit. And it's underwhelming. It looks great. It looks better than it has, but it doesn't touch what it could look like if they did a full-on restoration of this and actually scanned it in 6K. And then to top it off, there's not a single special feature on here. This is a huge movie. Part 2, Happy Gilmore Part 2 was getting ready to come out as you did this. This should have been a big, big deal. The only thing that's on here are old carryover deleted scenes and outtakes and the trailer. That's all that's on here. You didn't do any work to this. You got your hands on the negative, scanned it in, slapped Dolby Vision on it, and sent it out. And that's just a little disappointing. We can't have, the biggest thing we have in physical media is the better quality over streaming. If you're gonna half bake it, we lose that leg up, and we can't afford to lose that leg up. So a little more care, a little more effort, and that's what we need. So it's just a little bit disappointing, but I am glad to have it. It's still the best that it's looked. Now, when you talk about disappointing, this next one, there's nothing disappointing about the 4K restoration at all. It makes this film look better than it has any right to look. But it's a bit disappointing in that when this came out, and this is going to be a recurring theme here, when this came out, this particular film, there were all kinds of huge predictions and sort of leaks that maybe it was Fire in the Sky, maybe it was Stargate, these big films that people have been waiting on, and we got Mac and Me. Now, a lot of people like this movie. I am not among those people. It is somewhat of a time capsule. You've got the Olin Mills horrible artwork here. Now, I do like the artwork on the inside a whole lot. I did a full review of this. I do like this artwork on the inside. This should have been the outside of the box. This looks like the Olin Mills picture from Step Brothers that used to get back in the day. And I just feel like this could have been a standard release and not the top of the line VSU. I feel like you would have been better off. I feel like the VSU needs to get back to the level of things like Roadhouse and Showgirls and things like that are a little bit tick up. But with all the rumors that were going around and whispers, and then it was Mac and Me, it was kind of a letdown. But that's just for me personally. No knock if you love the film. All right. Now, a film that I did not love and didn't see it in the theaters, so I blind bought this, and if I wasn't collecting every Marvel steelbook, I would just get rid of this because this movie is horrid. It's just not good at all, and that is the new Captain America movie. I forget if it was the Brave New World or whatever. This was hard to make it through. And if I do a list of the 10 worst movies of the year, this would be on it. And not even Harrison Ford, and he's like my favorite actor, not even he could save it for me. Anthony Mackie's just not, he's just not Captain America. He is great as Falcon. He's just not Captain America. He doesn't have the charisma. The film becomes very preachy. You can't, that's not what Captain America is. It became sort of a Red Hulk movie instead. And the 4K here, it just looks very digital. It just looks like what it is. There's so much of these movies that just look the same. Nothing has its own style. And it's just nothing to write home about. The movie isn't that good at all. And it's just kind of disappointing overall. Now, the next one was disappointing also because it was, talk about overhyped and under-delivered. When we got this 4K, it come from Vinegar Syndrome. And I'm gonna not bury the lead here. I'm just gonna say it's Troll 2. And it's nothing against the movie necessarily or the 4K. The 4K looks great. The restoration work is second to none with Vinegar Syndrome. The problem is, when this came out, and I'm a Vinegar Syndrome subscriber, when this came out, the rumors were so big, and Vinegar Syndrome built this up so big that they said, look, this is going to be the biggest Black Friday drops that we've ever had. The titles are going to be so big that one of the titles we were going to drop, we're going to move that to January because we're going to be so overwhelmed because these titles are so big, including our big headliner 4K, which was this right here, that we're going to be so overwhelmed that we don't even think we can't even put this other title out. We're going to be so overwhelmed, we're going to move it to January. I mean, they sold it over. There were rumors of everything from dusk till dawn, like all kinds of just massive rumors. And you're thinking it has to be something so big because last year during Black Friday, they dropped out The Keep, which hadn't had a physical media release in 30 years, a long lost, just holy grail. They dropped out The Keep. They dropped out Congo on VSU. They dropped out Sliver. They dropped out Looking for Mr. Goodbar. Just banger after banger after banger. And they're saying this release window on Black Friday is going to be so big, these titles are going to be so huge, it's going to overshadow that, it's going to be bigger than anything we've ever done, to the point where we're going to take some titles we were going to release and move them to January, because it's just going to be so big and overwhelming. And then we got Troll 2. That's overcooking the grits, as we'd say here in the South. This is legendary for being a fun, bad movie, but you can't oversell it like that, and then Troll 2 is the biggest thing you drop. I mean, when you had The Keep and Congo and Sliver and Looking for Mr. Goodbar, these holy, grails out there last year, and you say this is going to be bigger than that, to the point of where you're moving titles, you're taking them away from that release and moving them, come on, man. You can't do that. So you kind of hurt this film through no fault of its own by overselling everything. And so that just made it disappointing, where otherwise it could have just been a fun release. So through no fault of its own, kind of. Now the next one is just a bad movie. It looks extremely digital. The film is just horrid. It goes off the tracks. I did a full 4K review of this on my Patreon, but that is Clown in a Cornfield. And this movie becomes preachy. It becomes everything that you don't want from a movie. And it goes all downhill after the first shot that looks cinematic and beautiful old school cinematography. And then it just becomes digital slop and a horrible just kind of story. And it's just not good. it's just not good, and this looks as digital as you can look without everybody just standing in front of a green screen. Outside of the opening, which looks amazing, and I don't know what happened after that, but this one, no. And then that brings us to Kino's Daylight. And yes, I'm one of the people that got Daylight, and this got pulled from the shelves. It's got Dolby Vision, the HDR. This was a very muddy, bland, not good 4K. And it got pulled back out of the stores and off the shelves once it got released. We still don't know what's going on. Now it's coming out from somewhere else with a director approved 4K. This was not good. It's very muddy. It looks like it almost looks like it's got a haze over it. I don't know, but this was not good. And we still don't know what all the drama's going on, but this is just disappointing. There's no Atmos track. There's no, anything like that. The restoration work was not done here. All it was, again, was a scan from the negative, which means they had the negative and they didn't do anything else. And that's very disappointing because this movie's so dark and everything. You really need a full-on under the hood restoration, which now you're getting from someone else with the director involved. So it's disappointing that Kino didn't bother to try to do that when other people smaller boutiques and Kino has way more money than a lot of them. It's kind of shortcuts that I've called Kino out on before, and I'm a Kino fan. When they do stuff right, they do it right, but they just try to kind of go quantity over quality sometimes, and this was a victim of that, and then it pulled so much other kind of drama in by getting yanked off the shelves. But Daylight, definitely at the top, except for one big issue that I think is bad. There's one more 4K that I refuse to buy, and this is going to hurt some people's feelings out there, but this is just being honest. Second Sight Films re-released Re-animator that was released by Ignite Films, and I have it right over there. Well, Ignite Films did amazing work. That's going to be up probably for 4K of the year on my AVA Pop Culture Awards. The problem here is what Second Sight did, and it hurts the physical media community and can hurt up-and-coming boutiques that do a lot of good work. And what happened is Ignite, this is their first big film. They did painstaking restoration work. They got Brian Usna involved. They got Barbara Crampton involved. They got Jeffrey Combs involved. They did a whole documentary outlining the whole restoration process, everything they used, including the Director 10K scanner, which is like the best scanner that you can use. The full on frame by frame restoration, the color. They did just loaded with special features, more than you could ever want, everything. They did it right. Now, a lot of people fussed because their price point was a little bit more for the box set. You had to go down to the standard version. It was like $49.95, which is, $5, $10 more than an average 4K. But it's a very small startup company with just a couple of people working there, and they're doing it out of love and passion. And so you're going to pay a premium. If you're going to get handcrafted stuff, it's going to be a little bit of a premium, especially out of the gate when they're trying to build, right? They don't have the volume to sell it for cheaper. None of that's the problem. The problem is, in order to try to recoup some of their money and to continue to grow, they did a licensing agreement with Second Sight Films. And they handed over their master, ready to go, just print on a disc. They handed it over ready to go. They held back a couple of special features that were proprietary for what they had done. But they handed it over ready to go. And their deal was that Second Sight would not sell it anywhere except for the UK territory. That's what the agreement was for. And Second Sight said, okay, we'll sign that deal. We'll pay you. So all Second Sight didn't do any of the work. They got it over. They printed it, put it in their boxes. They're a bigger company. They could sell it for cheaper, and they didn't have the money of the legwork to get the whole restoration done. So everything's fine. Now Ignite has a little bit of cash, and they can build into their next film. And Second Sight can offer it to other people in the UK want to pay less. Or if you want to individually order from Second Sight and have it shipped to you, that's fine too. But part of the agreement with Second Sight is that they would not sell it to US retailers. They would not sell it in the United States. Now, it doesn't stop you from an individual ordering from Second Sight, but as far as selling through to retailers, wholesale, part of the agreement is they would not do that. Well, they did it anyway. And they basically told Ignite Films, tough. And now, because of that, I would imagine Ignite Films going forward with like Bride of Re-animator or Society, if they get that on 4K, they're probably not going to license to Second Sight, because now they're competing with themselves in the market, and it's just kind of not a good business practice if you're going to do something like that. And I would expect more from Second Sight, and they shouldn't do that. And they're out here taking victory laps now on this 4K of Re-animator that they didn't do any of the work on, and they kind of went around the back to sell in the United States. And that's just very disappointing to me. I don't want to see that. We need all the boutiques that we can built up, including Second Sight. We need them all bigger because we need all of the physical media that we can get. We need everybody out here doing it with love and care. We don't need them undercutting each other. And it's just a little bit sad that happened, and very disappointing. And hopefully everybody learns from that, and we don't go down that road again, and we leave this sort of negative experience and this bad thing and, you know, the negativity in 2025, and we go forward to 2026 looking, you know, to greater, bigger things. And Ignite is going to have Bride of Re-animator coming, so they're going to bounce back from this too. I just find that very disappointing. I don't like it when people take, you know, or even seemingly take advantage of other people or hurt this physical media movie, pop culture, nostalgia world that I love to live in and share and want to see grow. And just a bit disappointing. So that is my most disappointing 4K issue of the year. So we're going to leave all this behind us now. You know, no hate on anything, just being honest and keeping it real here. And what I'm going to do, what I'm going to try my best to do, you're going to see this hopefully on Tuesday, December 30th. I am working on a just massive video for December 31st to turn our attention to the beauty and possibility of all the things that movies can bring us. I'm working on the most beautiful, best cinematic shots in the history of cinema, and it's probably gonna have to be a volume 1 because there's just so many. But I want to bring us into the new year with beauty and everything that movies can be. So I'm working on that. And of course, the big AVA Pop Culture Movie Awards, the inaugural Pop Culture Movie Awards, coming on January the 2nd, where we crown the best of the best in the new movies of the year, TV shows, 4Ks of the year, studio of the year, boutique label of the year, everything that you can think of. We are going to crown the winner, and we're going to have a lot of fun doing it. I have a lot of surprises for you, and we're going to do it as a premiere so that we can live chat together with it, and I hope you will join me. It's probably going to be released at 8 o'clock on Friday night, January the 2nd, and I hope that you'll be there. And until next time, be kind, rewind like always. It's Chase with AV Pop Culture, and I'll see you real soon. Bye-bye. I know.